This is Red Moon Roleplaying. Whew. I look over to the rest of you. Shall we then?
Yes, let's.
I think he valued that better than plastic.
Before I step in, if each of you could make another presence test for me. Again, if you have the dot on your test, that means you could roll with advantage. Difficulty is 15.
For presence here, I fail.
Me too. It's not my strength.
Nope. No luck.
So you step inside, and like I mentioned, there are lots of dogs and cats and mice and rats all getting their fur done. Does seem mostly dogs, again, as opposed to cats and mice and rats. And you come in, there's a little bell over the door, like a ding, 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 ding. And as soon as that happens, from near the back, you see a big burly cat step out. He's got gray fur with black roots, very, very fluffy. He's got a red silk hat and red garments, and he steps forward and goes, "Ah, my friends, welcome, please. Welcome to Mr. Meow. I am Mr. Meow. What can I do for each of you?" Now, I want to say that as cats, this is the worst fake Korat accent you've ever heard. This is clearly trying to sound like he's from the monarchy of Korat, and is any cat with any ear towards accents knows this is a terrible accent.
Oh, you're Mr. Meow. Then we heard that if we're looking for someone, then we should come to you because you know everyone who matters in this town.
One does not wish to brag, but there are many who come to my humble groomer shop and appreciate the services that Mr. Meow and his fine staff can offer them.
Yes, I can see it's a very popular place. Now, we're looking for a dog, actually, by the name of Citrini Papillon, and perhaps you might have some idea of where they might be.
Papillon, let me think. And as he's scratching his chin thinking, you hear the bell ring behind you again, and two more dogs step in. These are both very clearly wearing the livery of the Kingdom of Pugmire. They have chainmail shirts on, metal helmets, and they're wearing blue tabards, indicating them members of the city guard. And Mr. Meow goes, one moment, please. Hello, members of the constabulary. What can Mr. Meow do for you? And one of the dogs looks like a bulldog, goes, "Don't want none of your lip. Just need some information." "Not friends. We do not have to be so brusque. Please come. I can make you some tea. We can talk about this civilly." And it's like, just answer the questions. And Mr. Meow goes, of course. You are very busy dogs. I would not wish to intrude upon you." It's like, and you see a second dog like getting a little squinty-eyed and its paws starting to twitch, but the first bulldog is like, "Looking for a dog named Papillon. Have you heard about him?" The three of you briefly notice Mr. Meow kind of glance at you before turning to the dogs, and then goes, "I'm sorry, officers. I've never heard of this dog before. Perhaps you can try over at the Roadhouse. I understand they sometimes have dogs of unusual provenance go through there." It's like, already been to the Roadhouse. They sent us here. It's like, that's unusual. I've not had any Papillons here in several months. In fact, I've been meaning to write to the Papillon estate to see if perhaps they are offended by my services for not coming to me. But of course, if maybe perhaps you can send a message to them, or if any members of the city guard want to come and avail yourself services. I mean, you must also look nice, and just keeps going on, and finally the dogs just like, just fine, thank you, and they leave. They're just overwhelmed by the verbal deluge that comes from Mr. Meow. I would like all of you to make cunning rolls. Keen Observer does apply in this case.
Ah, look at that. That's 15.
15 as well.
Oh, that's a 20.
Okay, so all three of you, obviously you see all this, you pretty clearly got that Mr. Meow obviously just heard the name from you and then told the guard dogs that he didn't. More interestingly, though, is that none of the customers seem to have reacted to any of this. Aries, since you have a 20, out of curiosity, you kind of lean towards one of the customers just to kind of see what's going on. And as you get closer, you realize that they're kind of just do small chit-chat with each other, talking about the weather and how things are and, did you watch the sport? But you realize you get closer that the words that you're hearing and their lips don't quite match.
Does it seem like it's a spell, or like they are throwing their voices or talking in code somehow?
It is very likely a spell. Perhaps something involving either the implements being used or the chair that is distorting the sound.
Oh, interesting. I'm sort of trying to subtly glance at the chair, see if there seems to be any, like, bone inlay or...
Make an intellect roll. If you have no arcana as a skill, you can add your proficiency bonus to that.
That is an 18.
It's not immediately obvious, but as you kind of glance around the sides, again, you're trying not to look too suspicious doing it, so you can't really get your paws all up in it. But certainly there is kind of almost an ivory overlay to kind of the sides of the chair and to the arms of the chair that as you get closer to it, it has that kind of distinctive yellow tinge that you think it's probably not ivory, it's probably actually bone, which makes you think that there may be some Mancer magic in these chairs.
As I'm sort of leaning closer, can I catch any of the actual conversation, or is it just sort of like immediately surrounding the chair?
As you get closer, there's kind of a almost like a Doppler effect where the sound kind of for a second, and then you hear it's still idle chit chat, but it's different idle chit chat.
Yeah.
So I mean it's still about the weather and what's going on and what have you done over the weekends, but the content is completely different than what you heard stepping outside of it. And actually, as you're getting closer, also you do hear Mr. Meow coming back to talk to your colleagues, and he's talking about getting the window replaced, and he's been thinking about getting some more light into the place, which is very clearly not what he's about to talk to your friends about.
Yeah, I shuffle right back over to them.
So yes, Mr. Meow returns and goes, my apologies, friends. I did not mean for such a rude interruption. But you were asking about something? Could you remind me what that was?
That's all right. Well handled, I must say. Now, as to the matter, we are here to find a Citrini Papillon, and I am Starla von Forest. And I want to ask, does Respected by Shadows have anything to do with me being known within circles like these?
Respected by Shadows means that, yes, you are a little more well-known amongst the more nefarious side of things. So we haven't yet talked about fortune. You do have what's called a fortune pool. And these things, you have 3 points in it currently. And you could spend it to either re-roll dice. It hasn't really been extremely relevant lately, which I haven't brought up before. Or you could spend it for certain effects. For example, you could say, in your case, this person in the criminal underground actually knows me. So if you want to, since you've just mentioned your name, you could spend one of the fortunes, as long as everybody else in the group agrees. Everyone has to agree before fortune is spent. But if you want to, you can spend a point of fortune to say that Mr. Meow actually does know you as soon as you mention your name.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure, why not?
All right, let's use our first fortune point then, please.
You mention your name, and Mr. Meow goes, Are you the same Starla that travels with, what's his name, Kayla, I believe?
Oh, you know Kayla!
Yes, we've had some dealings in the past, you should say. I am just realizing that perhaps this is a little too... I don't want to disrupt my staff when they're in the middle of their work. Perhaps we can come back to my office and have more of a discreet conversation and catch up on old times,
Oh, that sounds like just what we came for, innit? I look over to Aries as you come back.
Nodding, yes, yeah.
I as well.
Crow, since Starla's focused on talking to Mr. Meow and Aries has been staring at chairs for some man-forsaken reason, could you give me a cunning roll? If you have something like Keen Observer, you can also use that.
I do not have that, unfortunately, but I did roll a 19.
So you're just trying to, this huge window behind you keeps drawing your attention because it's something you just don't see very often, so you keep kind of glancing over your shoulder at it. You see another one of those kind of messenger bell rats with the hat and the outfits and the bell. This one has white fur, pink eyes, more of a mouse than a rat. It's been staring at through the window for a while now, and as soon as you kind of glance over to double check that they're looking at you, they scurry off.
We're being watched. The white, mouse or rat that was checking us out, and not in a good way.
Well, I'm gonna guess that we're about to find out what's so controversial about our prey.
Yes.
So Mr. Meow starts talking to staff, that going, friends, you're doing such a wonderful job. Please keep it up. I'm going to be checking the books for a few minutes, so please take your time. If you need me, ring the bell before you come in. Very much appreciated. And you can tell the staff are just like ignoring him completely. They're just used to him clearly just babbling. And he takes you past all the chairs to the back. There's a door that says staff only. He takes you through that door. And there's a couple of doors back there. There's a toilet. There's a closet of some kind. And another room that just says office. He takes you through the office. Kind of straightforward, normal-looking wooden doors. No obvious locks or the like. But as soon as you step into the office, you see that it's actually quite tastefully appointed. There's a quality of furniture that's not ostentatious, but certainly present. Good wood desk, nice, comfortable chairs. There are some hangings on the wall that some of you recognize as being done by various different Meow painters. In particular, Crow, you are immediately struck by the fact that the color palette here is actually the Rex House colors for all the furniture and the like. And then when Mr. Meow closes the door, you see that you hear a click and then a soft thud, as it looks like there's a metal plate near the bottom of the door that sinks in to help reinforce the door from being kicked in. Mr. Meow comes to the side of the big desk, and his accent immediately drops and goes, "Please have a seat."
Oh, I'll do just as he says. Nice colors.
Thank you. Looks like you're maybe also another member of the house?
Yes, a pleasure.
My apologies. My name is Ginger.
Crow. And I'll look to the others.
Eris.
I give a slight inclination of my head, and I take a kind of lounging seat as well. Oh, nice to meet you, Ginger. Got quite the establishment here. Seems like a little spider in a web, almost.
Well, let's just say that there are certain benefits for both being entrenched in Pugmire and also for having the dogs underestimate you.
I nod approvingly, sizing him up and thinking that there might be future business to be had here as well.
You were asking about Papillon, yes?
And we weren't the only ones, seemingly.
Yes, that is concerning. I am worried about things that are afoot.
What kind of things?
How much do you know? It's perhaps best to start there.
If we say nothing, would you be very surprised?
Not entirely. Would it be too forward for me to ask if you're acting on behalf of any particular monarchy?
We were tasked by Cyrano von Angora to come find him.
Cyrano? Cousin to the dentist. That is interesting. Well,
I don't know if that's specifically on behalf of Angora or for his own academic pursuits.
Far be it from me to assume that the Angora's pursuit of academic interest is in any way contradictory to their political acumen.
I'm sitting and lounging back in my chair, outwardly looking like I'm not paying attention to everything, but on the inside I make mental notes of every name that I haven't heard before.
Then I should perhaps start at the beginning. Some time ago, 3 dogs went on a quest on behalf of one of the local nobles. They are a mutt of the Church of Man, Rex Pyrenees, who serves with the guards on some level, and Cetrini Papillon. All of them are also pioneers, royal pioneers. I believe you're maybe familiar with that organization, at least.
Have I done some work for the Royal Pioneers already?
Probably a little bit. Not directly, because they don't hire cats, it's just that they have lots of dogs to work from. But you probably certainly worked on collaborative efforts with them.
Yes. Yes, familiar. I've done some work helping them out, let's say.
The three of them went towards some kind of tower. I don't know the details. The people who hired them or encouraged them or sent them on their way, it's all a bit muddy. But the tower is something that I have learned a bit about. And something happened at that tower. I'm again unclear as to the nuances of it, because the first two, Mutt and Pyrenees, simply refused to speak about it. Papillon went mad. They came to live here in Riverwall and became something of a spectacle, I guess. I tried to keep them safe. I gave them some solace in my own area. But obviously, I did it with the hope of finding out what they uncovered. I couldn't get much, I'll be fair. It's either beyond my understanding or beyond Cetrini's understanding. Suffice to say, they met something powerful. Something they called an Oliphant. The fact that two guard dogs are looking for them is more concerning. What was the question?
A what now? An overfault?
Oliphants. If any of you have no arcana, you can make an intellect roll. Difficulty is 19.
16.
No. You do have 2 fortune if you want to spend it, but it is a very hard roll to make.
I think it's probably better to save that for something later. But I'm definitely pulling, little notebook out of my pocket and being like, "Could you spell that for me, please?"
I wish I could. I've only heard it spoken out loud.
Okay, I'll write it down, but phonetically. Definitely looking that up later.
The fact that there are guard dogs looking for Cetrini is concerning, because I am starting to wonder if forces are in play. If you were sent by Angora, there may be no ill intent, there may be a desire to acquire this power for Angora. Cetrini may simply have concerns, friends looking for them, or one of the families may be trying to acquire what knowledge Cetrini has. I don't think Cetrini has anything useful. I'm simply worried about if Cetrini has chosen Riverwall as their home, then I'm worried about the residents. I care for them. I want to make sure that Cetrini is kept safe, because they are a dog, they are not a resource.
Interesting. So, well, do you have any idea at all where he's seen last? Like, we're here for the plastic, most of it, not so much the politics or the people, but I can respect a man in your position. I look over to Ares. We were asked to bring him back, no?
Yes, Cyrano is hoping that, maybe he can help. I'm leaving the he in that statement kind of ambiguous as to whether I'm referring to Cyrano or to Cetrini.
Well, at least as far as where Cetrini is, I can help you with that. At that point, Ginger stands up, and he runs his paws underneath the lip of his desk, and the whole desk You hear a small pop, and the desk lifts up slightly and then starts to slowly slide to the left, and you see there's a staircase going down.
I'm already on my feet with my short sword in my hand as the mechanism starts to work, and I slowly start putting it back into its sheath as I see that there was no, attempt at our lives with this mechanism.
Impressive, I say.
It does well to have a rear entrance that the guard dogs are unaware of.
I can imagine.
I sent Citrini into the underground city beneath our feet. That was the last time I saw them. I don't believe they would have gone far. But, as I said, they were changed by their experience. I'm not entirely sure I could predict exactly how they'll act.
Alright, well, perhaps it would actually benefit and diffuse the situation here in town if we did take him, somewhere else. It would be a bit tricky, obviously, to actually make the journey back and not reveal his identity, but yeah, perhaps it could be of use to you as well that we do find him.
I only ask one thing. He turns and looks at his colleague, Crow. I want to make sure that this dog falls into the right hands.
You can count on me.
Thank you, cousin.
I nod in respect.
He pulls a drawer open and hands you all some torches. You're going to need these as you go down.
Thank you.
I look at him. I mean, is it normal then, I suppose, even for cats not to see that well in the dark? Or is that's indication that it's going to be really dark?
A lot of cats do have basically dark vision. They can see a little easier in the dark, so that's not common. The fact he's giving you torches means that you're probably going to a place that has no light, because with your dark vision light sense, you need a little bit of light to see with it. If it is pitch black, it's not going to help you.
Yeah, so I nod, being curious, obviously, that we are going somewhere very deep down, and I take the torch.
Then he wishes you well, and you start to make your way underneath bowels of Pugmire. And as you make your way down the steps, they're clearly pretty worn. This, if it has been a tunnel that Ginger built, either he built it a very long time ago, he uses an awful lot. It's perhaps more likely that this was an existing underground tunnel that he built his shop on top of. So you do see that this has been a bit old. There's almost like a slight groove in the stone steps as you make your way down. And as you hear the desk slowly grinds back over top and it settles in, all light just ceases. It is completely pitch black down there, and you realize that's why you were given the torches. So you light the torches and continue to make your way down the tunnel. And initially the tunnel is constructed. There are stone blocks sealing walls in a square formation, always 10 feet for some reason. They continue to make your way in a straight shot. Then you walk into what looks like a small storeroom pretty quickly. There are a couple of casks down here. Looks like it's probably high quality ale and some wines, perhaps Ginger's private stock. And there's also a small table full of minor supplies, some reconstituted food, rope, sack, things like that. They look to have all been used relatively recently. In fact, all of this appears like there's no dust on anything, there's no dirt everywhere, so it's all cleaned relatively recently. Again, either someone's been here recently, or perhaps Ginger frequently comes down here to double check all of his stock. He's unsure which. And then the tunnel continues on. After a while, you see that the constructed nature of the tunnel is starting to break down. The stone gets older, the reinforcements gets a little saggier, the tunnel starts to get less and less polished, and then after a lot of walking, you realize that you've slowly evolved into what looks like just more of a cave system. This is much more of a natural formations. Is there anything three of you are doing while you're walking? This is, so far, we'll say roughly half an hour of walking.
Well, I'll probably at this point talk to him about how he knows Kayla and how Kayla is probably the best dog in the world, and the things that we go out and do together. I don't talk much. I don't like people or anyone in general, but I love Kayla, and the things we do are the best things. And it's me and Kayla, or it's just me, and that's okay too. But with Kayla, times are the best. So I'll probably go on a bit about that and reminisce and hear whatever memories he has of her as well.
Ginger will mention that Kayla, at one point in time, came to him when she was injured on one of her adventures. She ran into a group of sentient plastic heads that had coalesced into a larger creature, and she became injured in that fight. And so she came to him out of the tunnels, and he helped her out. It was like, it's a dog in need, it's a person who needs help. And then when the guard dogs came in and they saw a dog bleeding on the floor of his groomers, they tried to arrest him, and she stood up for him and said that this cat helped me, and how dare you interfere and impugn him, and basically just started yelling at them and arguing with them until they had to admit the only reason why they suspected him was because he was a cat. And Ginger never forgot that. Ginger never forgot that this strange dog was willing to defend him and force other dogs to recognize their own internalized racism.
So this will lead to a growing sense of fondness from my part towards Ginger, hearing that he has done such, really helped Kayla out. And for Ares and Crow, then you will understand very clearly that Kayla, the dog, is my absolute best friend and compatriot in the whole world.
That's nice. It's nice to have a dog friend, I think to myself. And I nod approvingly as I hear all this.
Mostly just sort of sticking toward the back and listening to their stories, and that sounds very good.
So as the stories wrap up, the tunnel system starts to open up, and you see that there are several different paths forward. And at this point, Ginger stops and says, I have to return. I have to make sure that my shop is still standing, and if I'm gone too long, people may become suspicious. You want to keep going straight ahead. That was the last time I saw Citrini down here, was the tunnel straight ahead. Beyond that, I don't know where they went.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your help. We'll take it from here.
And he salutes and starts to walk back the way again. So you have 3 tunnels in front of you. One to the left, one to the right, one straight ahead. They all look roughly equally dark, although you do get a sense that there's a very faint light coming from the center one.
All right. Well, that was quite helpful and nice. But now, I guess we just gotta choose. I start looking down at the floor and smelling the air, seeing if there's any indication of any dog passing through.
You can go ahead and make a cunning roll with search if you have the skill.
No.
Well, then you could just use your cunning.
Oh, I roll a 19.
Okay. You do smell dog coming from the center and right passageways. The center passageway, you also get a smell of metal.
I can't quite tell. Is this way or that way? Dog's been passing through here and there. Over here is a bit of, I think, metal as well. I look up at the others. What do you think?
Metal? Well, could that be, weapons then? Citrini would surely have been armed given, well, everything that they had been through.
Could be. I was initially thinking some more heavy equipment for it to come off like this. Could be an indication of the right way, could be an indication of the wrong one, I say and look over at Aeris.
I agree. I think, why don't we go towards the things that we can sense? That means there's something down there, right? And we'll just be ready if it's something bad.
You mean the Sentinel one then? There's some light coming from there as well.
Yeah.
Alright, we can do that, I say, and I look between the two of them. Crow, why don't you go first now?
Sure. I'll take the lead then and begin leading them down the center path then, keeping my eyes open for anything that might be dangerous. Hopefully there won't be anything, but you never know.
So what are you good at? What's your thing? You a scholar or academic?
A scholar. I study sort of arcane arts.
Ah, magic then.
A little bit, yeah. I pull out, I have a locket around my neck that's got a little bone pendant on it, and kind of show it to him.
And I immediately want to play with it, but it doesn't feel appropriate, and I realize I've been walking backwards for a bit now, and I might risk bumping into Crow, and I'll just whisper, I'll look at that later, but good to know.
As a note, I've given you a fortune for both roleplay and also for convincing Mr. Meow to reveal his secret identity to you. So you make your way down. Crow's keeping an eye out of anything unusual. The tunnel bends a bit to the right and then bends a bit back to the left. So it's not entirely straight, but it's also not curving in any one particular direction. Again, it seems more of a natural thing. At one point in time, actually, the corridor gets quite close, and you have to all shuffle sideways through a gap in the rock to make your way through the other side. And on the other side is where you start to see where the light is coming from. It's still pretty faint, but along the ceiling, it looks like there is a hole drilled into the top of the tunnel, and from that is a black rope that comes through that hole and then has been clamped along the top of the tunnel. And you could see very faint arcs of lightning flowing down the rope, back and forth. It is just high enough that if you put your paw up and maybe jumped, you could touch the rope. The tunnel does go straight from here.
What's that up there?
Look to see if I can see anything more, anything that might give us more clues as to what this might lead to.
Do you want to put your face closer to the rope, or do you want to just stare at it and try to see what you can see?
Yeah, I'll get closer to the rope just to see what it is.
So you kind of stand on your tippy toes and put your face closer to it. You could smell. It's a bit of a kind of a coppery scent, a metallic scent of some kind. Then also you get the smell of plastic. Like this entire rope looks like it's made of plastic. So someone basically the equivalent of just a thick braid of gold and just stamped it across the ceiling for God knows how long, and then ran lightning through it. It's extravagant, and why this extravagant thing exists this far underground in an out-of-the-way tunnel is boggling.
I just shake my head looking at it. It's plastic.
What?
All of it?
It's plastic.
Yeah.
Well, get it down then.
I mean, if there's lightning running through it, it probably... I don't know if I would grab right onto it.
Yeah.
That's silly. Lightning can't run through plastic. Can it?
I mean, not naturally.
Perhaps there's some kind of magic going on.
Can I sort of see any, like, anything that might be anchoring a spell, or get a sense of what's behind it?
Sure, you can make a intellect roll and add your no arcana skill. Call it difficulty 14.
That is a 17.
Definitely magic. This is 100% magic. You're passingly familiar with this. You know that some ruins of the Ancient Ones do have ropes that conduct mystical energy through them. Man constructed a way to actually funnel arcane forces from one part of the ruin into another part of the ruin. Obviously, it doesn't conduct lightning in the normal way because, as you pointed out, plastic can't possibly contain lightning. Man has found some way to transcend these limitations, which implies that the lightning itself is also natural. Lightning didn't strike this and send it down here. Something else is manifesting and creating these mystical forces and then channeling them either down this corridor or back way up through the hole. It's unclear which direction the mystical energy is channeling.
Sort of, following the line of it, not too far. I don't want to stray too far away from them, but explaining that as I look, sort of muttering, probably a little bit of like random scholarly asides, and could sort of imagine her talking with footnotes. If we could find I don't know if this is coming from back where we started, or if there's something at where it ends up that powers it, but I bet we could learn a whole heck of a lot if we could find its terminus.
Yes, and if you could somehow prevent it from continuing to come there, I mean, we could grab this plastic rope. It would be worth a lot of plastic.
Yep.
Yeah, you just lift me up and I'll cut it down for us. I mean, if the lightning is gone, that is.
Yeah, let's get rid of the lightning first.
If we bump into anyone unsavory, aside from ourselves, and get them to hold on to it, maybe they can, absorb the shock for us, and then you can cut it down.
Yeah, I guess. That'll work. Yeah, of course. And, in the meantime, can you use your magic to figure out where this is all leading?
Yeah, I think we need to keep going before I can figure out exactly where, which way it's going or where its source is.
Well, then let's do that. I'll hold up my torch and continue leading the way forward. You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played the scenario The Search for Papillon for Curious Cats of Meow and Realms of Pugmire, published by Onyx Path Publishing. The Curious Cats of Meow is now crowdfunding, and you can find the link in the show notes. Joining us for this scenario was Eddy, Webb, and Lauren Roy. The music was made by Ager Sonus and was used with permission from their label Crowdfunder. Check out their website at crowdchamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, Graham Barey, and Doug Thomson for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening. And remember to always strive to be an excellent cat.